the 10th edition of the biggest first-person shooter in history. Firefights take place in corridors and closed spaces, and occasionally some open spaces as well. The game uses DirectX 11 that enables it to employ respectable levels of tessellation. Faces and characters appear with smooth curves, whether main or secondary characters. Even all enemies, though some clothes have rough edges. Inanimate objects are a mixed bag. Many of them appear well tessellated and many of them are not, but they have a reasonable amount of polygons nonetheless. Overall, the use of tessellation in Ghosts is among the best in the business. Texture resolution is solid. Some textures look weak here and there, especially the sky in several single-player missions, but overall textures look good. Lighting is good. Bloom, brightness, lens flare, light shafts effects are all present and used. However, the number of light sources appear very limited, especially when compared with the other top-of-the-line shooters, the likes of Battlefield, Metro, or Crysis. This is a further proof of the age of Call of Duty engine. Most big shooters employ deferred rendering techniques, which enables a sharp increase in the number and quality of light sources. However, Call of Duty still uses a traditional forward rendering techniques, and the result speaks for itself. There is not even an ounce of dynamic lighting in the game. Explosions, muzzle flashes don't cast any light on the surroundings, not even flashlights, either of the characters or vehicles, resulting in weird and ugly scenes whenever a flash or a spotlight is used. The player can't illuminate any dark areas in any way. Such a massive shame in this age. Next generation consoles are on the way, for God's sake. Shadows are good and soft. Some of them have low resolution and jagged edges. Of course, there is not an ounce of dynamic shadows of any kind, which is logical considering there is no dynamic lighting to speak of. Smoke is not affected by shadows and appear the same under shade and light. Particles don't cast shadows either. The physics engine in Ghost is another mixed bag. Particles and debris are good, especially with the use of GPU accelerated physics effects, which also dramatically improves the look of animal fur. Character animation and lip syncing are top notch, as expected. Destruction physics are limited and disappointing. Some objects can be vandalized, but the rest do not even budge. I don't know how can this happen in a modern 2013 game. Clearly, the modest capabilities of current generation consoles greatly influenced Ghost design in a negative way, especially at this late stage of the console cycle. Water looks good, better than the past releases, and with a reasonable number of waves and player projectiles enter activity, and have good reflections too. However, it suffers from color banding phenomenon, which means it has low resolution. The same is observed with smoke, fire, and explosions effects, which are drawn with insufficient resolution. The game has many reflections on water surfaces, glass, or glossy materials. Some of them are static, and many are dynamic in real time, and those look particularly impressive, adding a beautiful layer for many interior scenes. Level of details in the game ranges from low to medium, even on the highest visual settings. This is clearly observed in wide spaces, which suffer the sudden bob ends of foliage and small details on fast motion. The player can increase the level further. Post-processing are good enough. The game uses depth of field, motion blur, and some approximative AA methods like FXAA and TXAA. And TXAA in particular adds a desirable smoothness filter to every scene. Performance of the game is excellent, works very well on maximum settings, and uses the GPU to its maximum capacity. CPU resources, however, are used to their half potential, utilizing 3 cores at maximum, not including hyper-threading technology. In many cases, performance appears excessive, with frames skyrocketing above 80s and 90s despite the plentiful use of tessellation, which is surprising and confusing at the same time. Why wouldn't the developer use the untapped performance to increase visual quality through things like dynamic lighting? Memory requirements of the game is high. The game used all 3 GB of our video card memory. Users with less video memory than that amount will most likely suffer stutters and pauses unless they reduce texture settings. The game also uses about 3 GB of system RAM. Later stages of the single-player campaign have beautiful visuals, despite the lack of many graphical technologies. The reason for that is the careful selection of visual art style and colors. An excellent global lighting is combined with solid textures and polygon count, as well as soft shadows, good reflections, and nice water. This is best observed in the jungle level and oil rig level. In the end, the graphics of Call of Duty Ghosts is is disappointing in many aspects. Lighting and shadows and physics engine are not at the expected level of a AAA title such as Call of Duty, and it's obvious that the developers made many sacrifices and concessions for the game to work on old consoles. However, that does not justify the poor use of many important graphics technology on PC. The general mood of the visuals in the first few levels of the campaign is pale and full of bad yellow, gray, and brown colors, and coupled with the lack of dynamic shadows, lighting, and the weak physics engine only serves to assert the look and feel of the outdated visuals. The mood in the later stages of the campaign is excellent though, and the elegant use of art style and color selection compensates the lack of technology and allows the game to have the look of a next generation title. This discrepancy in the game is a direct result of the aged engine, which is in a bad need of changing, or at least massively upgrading it, and it's vital for Call of Duty series to pay attention, otherwise its next release will be one that is out of time and history.